Reusing existing information for data entry reduces cognitive load and the effort to complete forms. In this unit, we're looking into Success Criterion 3.3.7, which explains redundant entry. I'll detail the intent of this criterion and what it actually means, explain the impact to the user, the criterion addresses, some ways it could be passed, ways it won't, and follow with the summary of what you need to do to pass. By the end of the unit, you'll have a solid understanding of why it matters, understand the user's impact and how to pass the criterion. 3.3.7 Redundant Entry is a criterion supporting users with cognitive and memory impairments and mobility constraints. To pass, ensure information previously entered is auto-populated, or information is available for the user to select, and there's a few exceptions of when the criteria isn't applied. This is also a single A criterion. Information that is required to be remembered when entering can pose a significant barrier to users with cognitive or memory difficulties. Everyone experiences a natural mental fatigue as they proceed through steps in a process, and this fatigue is accelerated by the stress of recalling information from short-term working memory. So we know the problem the criterion attempts to solve, but what is the impact to a user? This is Rashmi. She's an elderly, eager adopter of modern technology, but finds as the day progresses her ability to remember prior information reduces. She prefers to use the computer in the mid-afternoon when she's most comfortable, but finds the repeated requesting of previously entered information when buying online is tiring. The criterion has the requirement of providing previously entered information in an accessible way to overcome the natural process of mental fatigue. This can either be pre-populated in the form or available text for the user to select from. However, the previous entry is only made available during the session. There's no requirement for this information to persist between sessions. You could be thinking relying on the browser's autocomplete feature is sufficient. After all, it's storing pre-filled information. However, this is not considered sufficient because for this criterion, it is the content of the website that needs to provide the stored information, not the browser. The exceptions to this criterion are where it's essential the user re-enters the information. This could be entering a new password twice to verify that they're the same, or where the previous information is no longer valid. What does passing the success criterion look like? Since previously entered information, like an ID number, is available as text on a page for the user to copy and paste, this passes. Since a user has pre-filled their delivery address and a multi-step process requires it to be re-entered, but it's available in a drop-down, this passes. Since terms from a previous search can be selected, this passes. What does failing this success criterion look like? Since the user had previously entered their ID, yet the site requests entering it again, this fails. Since previously entered information is grayed out and can't be copied, this fails. Everyone experiences a natural, gradual mental fatigue as they proceed through steps in a process, but for users with cognitive or memory difficulties, it can pose a significant barrier. This criterion requires the website content to make the previous entry available, and this availability could be via any number of ways, including checkbox to pre-select previously entered information, a drop-down list, or even displaying previously entered information. What's important is that the previously entered information is identifiable and is easily accessed. To overcome this natural process of mental fatigue, a mechanism to select previously entered information must be provided. Selecting previously entered information could be via a drop-down, a checkbox to pre-fill information, or even displaying the text on the screen for a user to copy. Relying on the browser's autocomplete feature is insufficient to pass for this criterion. There is no requirement for this criterion to be met for previously entered information to exist beyond the session or for essential purposes such as password entry. How I recommend to pass this criterion. Allow a user to select previously entered information easily, and do not disable the ability to copy previously entered information displayed on the